You know that feeling, that little nudge,
Uh,
wanting to do something new, start a project, maybe speak up more,
hmm
just feel a bit surer of yourself.
hmm
And then, bam, that voice inside just shuts it down, tells you all the reasons not to bother.
Oh, yeah. Your own personal heckler, right?
Yeah,
It's incredibly common, that internal battle.
exactly. And if that sounds familiar to you listening, well, you're definitely not alone.
We all have these hopes, these things we want to do. And yeah, often they get met with this wall of inner doubt. And that's exactly what we're digging into today in this deep dive.
Right. Our mission basically is to unpack the core ideas
hmm
from a really great set of books, all focused on understanding that inner critic and, importantly, building real confidence.
Yeah, we're not just summarizing here.
No, we want to pull out the most powerful insights, give you some genuinely actionable tools, things you can actually use to, foster more self-compassion and step up.
And it's quite a range of perspectives we've looked at. Some books really dissect those critical voices.
Mm.
Others champion just embracing vulnerability.
Mhm.
And then there are strategies for moving through fear and even how taking action itself can build confidence. It's fascinating.
It really is. We're talking about authors like Rick Carson and his inner gremlins,
hmm
Joanna Kleinman's 8 Inner Critics,
hmm
the huge insights from Brene Brown on vulnerability, Tara Brach on acceptance, Kristen Neff on self-compassion.
And then moving into action with Tara Moore, Stephen Pressfield on resistance,
Oh, yeah, resistant.
Elizabeth Gilbert on creative courage, Russ Harris with the ACT approach, and Glennon Doyle on being, well, untamed. It's a really solid lineup.
Definitely. So let's jump in, starting with those inner critics.
Okay, so Rick Carson, in Taming Your Gremlin, he gives us this really accessible idea, this self-sabotaging voice. He calls it the gremlin.
The gremlin, okay.
And what's really key is his focus on just noticing these thoughts, not fighting them, not wrestling them, just
So
noticing.
hang on. It's not about like trying to eliminate the voice entirely because honestly, that feels impossible sometimes.
Right, exactly. It's less about silencing it and more about becoming aware of its patterns. Like maybe your gremlin always pops up saying you're not smart enough for this right before a presentation.
Yeah.
The idea is just to notice that thought, like, there's the not smart enough thought again,
Sure.
without automatically buying into it.
Interesting. So you create a bit of distance.
That's the goal. Carson suggests that just by observing what your gremlin does, its favorite lines, its usual anxieties, you can then, consciously choose where you put your focus, like training your attention muscle.
Okay, so what are some common scripts? I mean, what do these gremlins usually harp on about? Is it always fear of failure or judgment?
Good question. And that leads nicely into Joanna Kleinman's work, The 8 Inner Critics. She gives us a more detailed map.
Okay.
Her idea is that our minds, while amazing, are also wired for survival. And sometimes that survival instinct goes a bit haywire and shows up as these really harsh inner
Yeah,
critics.
like a faulty alarm system.
Sort of, yeah. Think about the perfectionist critic, that voice saying, it's not good enough, do it again.
Mm.
It might feel like it's helping you do better work, but really it's often driven by a deep fear of judgment, and it stops you from ever finishing anything.
Oh, the perfectionist. I
Mhm.
know that one. Uh-huh. So Kleinman helps us name these different types.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
identifies patterns like the pleaser, who's terrified of rejection, so they put everyone else first,
Hmm.
or the worrier, constantly catastrophizing.
Right.
By spotting these specific voices, we can start to see the fear underneath. Like, what's it trying to protect you from, even if it's doing it badly?
That reframing is interesting. So her reflection is,
Yeah.
which critic shows up most for you and what might it be trying to protect you from?
Mhm.
Instead of just feeling attacked, you get curious. Like, okay, what's this misguided protector trying to do here?
Mm-hmm. And shifting gears a bit, a lot of these authors point towards self-compassion and acceptance as like the antidote to these critics.
Right, like Brene Brown.
Exactly. The gifts of imperfection. She talks so powerfully about embracing vulnerability, authenticity,
Mm.
seeing them not as weaknesses, but as acts of courage.
Yeah, her stuff really resonates because it pushes back against that pressure to always look perfect,
Totally.
Huh.
And that quote, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Wow.
It really is. It gives you permission to be human.
It moves us away from chasing perfection and towards just accepting ourselves, warts and all. And her research shows that when we do allow ourselves to be vulnerable, it actually builds stronger connections. It's kind of a paradox, right? Showing flaws builds bridges.
Yeah, which connects really well to Tara Brach's radical acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
That focus on self-compassion, mindfulness, creating inner freedom. I was struck by her quote, The boundary to what we can accept is the boundary to our freedom.
That's a powerful one, isn't it? It suggests that it's our resistance to what is our feelings or situation ourselves that keeps us trapped.
So radical acceptance isn't about liking everything.
No, not at all. It's not resignation. It's more about meeting whatever's happening inside or out with this non-judgmental awareness. Like if you're feeling anxious, fighting it often makes it worse.
Right.
But if you can just acknowledge it, maybe with some gentle curiosity, anxiety is here, it can actually soften its grip.
So instead of beating yourself up for feeling, say, inadequate, you observe it with kindness, like you would for a friend.
Exactly that. And her question points right to it. Where are you still withholding compassion from yourself? And what might shift if you softened in that area? It's such a gentle invitation.
And Kristen Neff builds right on that foundation in self-compassion, right?
Yeah.
With the research behind it.
Yes, absolutely. Neff gives us a really clear, evidence-based framework. It boils down to treating ourselves with the same kindness and care we'd automatically offer a good friend.
It sounds so simple when you say it like that.
Doesn't it? But think about it. A friend messes up, makes a mistake. Your instinct is probably comfort, encouragement.
Yeah.
But when we mess up, often the inner critic just goes wild. Neff asks, why the double standard?
So what are the key parts of self-compassion, according to her?
She talks about three main things. Self-kindness, which is being gentle with yourself. Common humanity, recognizing that everyone struggles, you're not alone. And mindfulness, just being aware of your pain without judging it or getting swept away.
That common humanity piece feels important, knowing you're not the only one feeling this way.
It's huge. It stops the isolation. And her reflection question is so practical. What's something you would say to a friend that you haven't yet said to yourself? It's a direct way to start practicing.
Okay, so we're seeing the inner critics, we're learning about self-compassion. But what about actually doing things, moving forward when the doubt is still there? That brings us to Tara Moore, right? Playing big.
Exactly. Moore focuses specifically on helping people, often women, but really anyone, move past that self-doubt to claim their voice, pursue bigger goals.
How does she frame it?
She talks about this internal dialogue between, like, a limiting voice of self-doubt full of fears and shoulds, and a deeper, quieter voice of inner wisdom.
Okay, the loud fear versus the quiet knowing.
Precisely. It's like the difference between that nagging thought, who do you think you are, and that gut feeling, this actually matters to me.
Yeah, and that quiet voice gets drowned out so easily, so Moore encourages us to tune into it.
Yes. Her reflection question is basically, when you quiet the fear, the perfectionism, what does your inner wisdom whisper? It's about making space to actually hear it.
Now, Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, he takes a stronger stance.
Huh. Yes, definitely more forceful. He personifies the force that stops us from doing our important work, especially creative stuff, as resistance, with a capital R.
Resistance, okay.
He sees it as this powerful, almost malevolent force that uses anything, procrastination, doubt, distraction, suddenly needing to clean the fridge to keep you from showing up.
Yeah, that sudden urge to alphabetize your spices when you have a deadline.
Exactly. He says resistance is always lying. It fabricates, seduces anything to stop you. It's stark, but it resonates.
It does. So the first step is just recognizing it, naming it.
That's his argument. Once you see resistance for what it is, this universal thing trying to keep you small, you can see its tricks and maybe not fall for them so easily.
And his challenge is direct. What form does resistance take for you, and what could happen if you just showed up anyway, pushing past it?
Mm-hmm. Then you have Elizabeth Gilbert in Big Magic, offering a much more gentle and encouraging take on creative fear.
More whimsical, maybe.
Yeah, whimsical is a good word. She emphasizes the joy of the process itself, engaging with curiosity just because it makes you feel alive, not because of some grand outcome.
I love that. Permission to just try things, be messy. Her quote about measuring your worth by dedication, not success or failure. That's freeing.
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? From the product to the practice. And her question fits right in. What are you holding back from? Because it might not be perfect. What would just trying actually look like?
It's an invitation to let go of that perfectionism.
Definitely. Now, Russ Harris, The Confidence Gap, comes at it from a very practical angle using acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT.
ACT. Okay, what's the core idea there?
Well, in simple terms, ACT is about accepting difficult thoughts and feelings, not fighting them, while committing to actions that align with your values, what you care about.
Okay.
And Harris's big point about confidence is that we usually wait to feel confident before we act. But he says...
It's the other way around.
Exactly. The actions of confidence come first, the feelings of confidence come later. It's a bit counterintuitive.
Like learning to ride a bike. You don't feel confident at first.
Right. You wobble, you might fall, but you do it. And the doing, the practice, gradually builds the feeling of confidence.
So act as if you're confident even with the butterfly.
Pretty much. Take the action based on your values, not your feelings in the moment. And his question pushes you towards that. What's one bold action you can take, even if you don't feel ready?
Just one small step.
One step. And finally, Glennon Doyle in Untamed. Her message is really about breaking free from what everyone else expects, trusting your own knowing.
Living authentically, right?
Li-
Even if it's messy or upsets people.
Yes. That quote, the braver I am, the luckier I get. It suggests that stepping out, being vulnerable, living true to yourself, it actually opens things up, creates possibilities.
Like the universe rewards courage. It's a compelling idea.
And her question really challenges you. Where have you been playing small? Maybe stuck in others' expectations or your own fears? And what brave, maybe messy next step could make you feel more alive?
It's an invitation to shed those constraints.
Exactly. To step into more of yourself.
Okay, wow. So as we kind of pull this all together,
Yeah.
it's clear that, yeah, self-doubt is pretty much universal. It's part of being human.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But it doesn't have to run the show. By getting aware of those inner critics, practicing self-compassion, leaning into vulnerability, and just taking action even when you're scared, you really can build more confidence.
And what's great is the variety of pathways these books offer,
Yeah.
Different tools for different people or different moments.
Yeah, they complement each other really well. Whether you connect more with like noticing your gremlin or identifying specific critics or radical acceptance or just taking that first scary action.
Right. There's so much wisdom here. It's not about finding the one magic bullet for self-doubt. It's more like building your own personal toolkit, strategies that actually work for you.
So as you're listening, maybe think about what resonated most just now. Which idea or which question kind of lit something up for you.
Yeah, that could be a clue. A little pointer towards maybe which book to explore next or which practice to try.
Because honestly, even just small shifts, tiny changes in how you relate to that inner voice of doubt, they can make a surprisingly big difference in how you feel and what you feel capable of doing.
Absolutely. It opens up possibilities.